What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 425 Homer Podcast. I am at Coach Torrez _ on Twitter. He is at Coach Miller 06 on Twitter. Jeremy, what's going on, man?
What's up, everybody?
Well, it is state week. It is hate week. And we're here to talk Michigan State. Now, folks, I need you to pay attention because I got something really important to say right here, right now. There's these two words that get thrown around every year about this time of year. Little brother. Let's talk about little brother. You need to understand. Now, this doesn't go, I doubt there's any Sparties watching this, but if there are, you need to listen. Little brother is not the winner or loser of this game. Not the loser of this game. Little brother is a mentality that state fans have a lifetime subscription to, as Scott Bell would say. The need to incessantly prove yourself, the need to constantly put yourself on a pedestal, the need to constantly talk, and to never, ever just be satisfied with what you are and accept what you are and always want to just into something that is bigger and better than what you have. So that is what a little brother is. We can keep away from the little sister chants. We don't need to bring misogyny into it. That happens in the stadiums every once in a while when one team gets up or down. Keep that shit out of here. It's completely irrelevant. But yeah, hate week. That's my little brother rant. Little brother's coming to the big house, Ann Arbor, on Saturday. Jeremy, how you feel about it?
This game always makes me a little nervous every year, just because even if all signs point to you being the better team, that doesn't always mean that you're going to come out with a victory.
Yeah.
We saw it in 2015. We saw it in last season. I mean, both of those games, we were at 2015 with just an immaculate tailgate.
The best tailgate we've ever put on. The best tailgate we've ever put on the golf course, man. We had the whole gang. Half of y'all listening to this were there. And we went all out. We went all out for that 3:30 game. We walked in feeling good, and we walked out feeling bad.
It was just one of those things. 2015 and last year, you just felt like Michigan dominated both of those games. I mean, unless you're talking to just a Spartan homer, I mean, any non-objective person that watched those games said Michigan dominated both of those games, but they didn't win. And that's kind of how I feel this week, because all signs point to us being the better team. I mean, the statistics show it.
Michigan is the better football team.
My eyeballs tell me that in the 2022 season, Michigan has a better football team than Michigan State.
Yeah. And on paper, this shouldn't even be a ball game this weekend.
And so that's kind of where my head is this going to be 2016 where we just punch them in the mouth and don't let up and have control of the game from the outright? Or is this a game where we let them hang around and then some stupid stuff happens and then more stupid stuff happens and then all of a sudden it's double zeros on the clock and Michigan has an L, their first L of the 2022 season?
Yeah. My instinct when you say, like, this game makes me nervous, I want to be like, dude, D'Antonio's gone. Like, he can't hurt us no more. But then Tucker comes out and goes 2-0 and just has, COVID year was COVID year. Last year was, about as close of a game as you can have. And a call goes another way here or there. A decision goes another way. Michigan wins that game by 2 scores. So yeah, man, when LJ Scott stretched that ball across the goal line in the 2015 Big Ten championship game, we watched that, and I told you, and I told Gillum the next day when we saw him, I was like, I'm never counting them out of anything ever again, because why would I? They just freaking do stuff they're not supposed to be doing. So But then, 2019 happened, Antonio's gone, and it's like, okay, that Juju's gone too. It's not the same program. It's not the same team. So, but Tucker's 2-0. So it's like, what the, so hopefully Jim can right that ship, and then, we can just not look back. But yeah, I've got full previews on both sides of the ball for MSU that we can get to. You go ahead with what
Yeah.
you say there, though.
Yeah, with me focusing more on my region and nationally for the 425 coverage, I haven't watched Michigan State as much as you have, obviously. And so I kind of, everyone that listens to this knows that we know what we're talking about with Michigan football, and we can get to our side of we can get to our personnel on both sides of the ball. But I really want to kind of get your breakdown on Michigan State as a team this season, some of their defensive players that are living up to the hype, some of them that aren't, some of their surprises, what their offensive line looks like. And obviously we know of the two outside receivers a little bit, but kind of touch on them and give us a feel of their program and some things that could give Michigan some problems in this game.
All right. So 2022 MSU is not that much different from 2021 MSU. They're trying to do a lot of the same things. Some of the guys are clearly not the same, and that begins and ends with Kenneth Walker III. On offense, the offensive line is hit or miss. They're mid, they're average. They can put a couple drives together. They can blow a pass protection. They can get beat by a stunt. I'm not even going to give you any other names because they're not really on that level. Next level guys, all of them. Peyton Thorne is about as inconsistent of a quarterback as you're going to find. Again, puts a couple drives together where he's making next level throws, and he looks the part. He's big, he's tall, he's athletic, throws a decent ball. And then sometimes he looks worse than Spencer Petras. He's chucking it all over the place, and you don't know where to go with it, and blah, blah, blah. So, it depends what he brings on Saturday. As far as the run game goes, you're seeing a lot of the same things, a lot of the 2x2 pistol with the stretch zone and whatnot, and the two wings to either side. So it's like, they can run it either way. But again, there's no Kenneth Walker back there. Jarek Broussard,
he made a lot out of nothing all last season. Them.
No, it was chicken salad out of chicken shit all year for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
And so their two transfers this year, Jalen Berger and Jarek Broussard, they're okay. They're running backs. They're going to get probably what they should, but probably not much more also. They can both catch a swing out of the backfield or a screen or something like that, but neither one of them is going to split wide on you, I don't think. At tight end, got nothing to worry about, man. They're really, really trying with Malik Carr. He's super inconsistent. 97 Joey Hunt's like probably their most balanced guy, but he's sure as shit not someone that's going to beat you down the field. The two best players on their team, I think, are Jaden Reed and Keon Coleman. They're wide receivers.
Yeah.
Who Jaden Reed is very special. He's your slot punt returner, kick returner. Give him to him on a jet, give it to him on a fly. Him healthy worries me almost as much as any wide receiver every wide receiver outside of Ohio State's guys that Michigan's going to see this year. He's serious. He's not a day one draft pick, but not terribly far off it. Maybe like a Wan'Dale Robinson type. And then Keon Coleman's a basketball player, man. He's like Nico Collins on steroids. I think he's a little bit taller and a little bit wider and jumps a little bit higher. So they can throw the ball up to him. And that's, we'll get into how they can beat us. And that's going to be, I think, their game plan. And it's going to kind of maybe look like 2020 to an extent. They're not going to get those looks where they're going to be throwing all those go balls, but they might force a couple down the field and try and win on some jump balls. That's for sure.
Yeah, I really think, to me, I think they're going to try to follow the 2021 game plan as much as possible, to where they try, even the 2020, where they're going to try to put Turner and Green in some jump ball situations and hope they get the flag and help them move them down the field. That was a lot of their seemed like some of their offense last year was just chuck it deep and see if we can get the call.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that was with Kenny Walker. That was with, the best running back in the country. And so now they have guys who are not even on the radar for best back in the state. I take Lou Nichols at CMU or both those guys. So, yeah, it's just not the same. I don't think we do anything schematically that they can come out and take advantage of. And when you're talking about one-on-one matchups, you're talking about two guys. And I'll be curious to see if we can take that away from them, how we would do that. Again, we're not in really that zero pressure look where we were every single snap in the down round defense.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what led to 2020 happening with Rocky F. and Lombardi and Ricky White. So, I don't really see that happening. Jumping over.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to bracket. We're going to have to do some bracket coverage and kind of disguise some things to kind of get some help on the two receivers, just to make that, everyone who watches Michigan State extensively or Big Ten football knows the connection between Jaden Reed and Thorne. So, I think we're going to have to find
it's serious.
We're going to have to find some ways to do that. And one of my notes of how this game is going to play out is our corners are going to have to avoid the penalties, avoid the big penalties, because that's what's going to keep their drives alive, and that's what's going to keep them in the ball game. Is I don't think that they shouldn't be able to move the ball consistently against our defense from what we've seen this year.
Yeah.
From both teams, and so they're going to have to create some ways to keep drives going. And I think getting defensive pass interference is going to be some of their goals. They're going to try to do some of that.
Yeah, they definitely can't move the ball with any consistency unless they just do state things, man. But again, I'm not really counting on that. They've been pretty subdued all week. They're kind of like, oh, we're not going to talk, and it's just all business. And it's like, yeah, you're 3-4. I get it. But hopping over to the defensive side, their guy's Jacoby Windman, who's doing a little bit of everything for them. He's lining up at Mike. He's lining up at edge. He's definitely their best pass rusher. I'll probably end up scouting him as an edge. But he's covering up some deficiencies for them. They're just on the back end. There's not much communication. They're in the wrong spot a lot of the times. Xavier Henderson's been sorely missed. Whether he plays or not, the corners still just leave a lot to be desired, man. In my notes, I wrote Gross is gross. Like Angelo Gross is not very good. Chester Kimbrough is not very good. Amir Speed's got a couple qualities to him. Caleb Brantley can play some ball. He's a little limited though. Talking about their front, again, if they play their little 3 down with Winmon at the Bucks standing up at the 2-point end, I'm sure we'll gash it. But it's probably their best look personnel wise, getting guys on the field. You have Cal Halliday, the Mike from last year, who is like the least likable person in the world, unless you're a Spartan, just because of the way he plays and the way he looks. He's doing a lot of hopping around. Not really sure, like instincts aren't looking there. He's not really triggering downhill like he was last year.
Their linebackers, they don't help their secondary and pass coverage very much.
No, they look absolutely clueless.
I think they really miss Darius Snow's injury in the preseason, who they spun down the linebacker. He was a defensive back out of Duncanville, Texas. Shout out Duncanville.
Yeah, that's been a huge loss for them.
And I think that doesn't help them, especially with the way that they're moving their best linebacker to edge when they need a pass rush.
Yeah, and there's no secret of what's going on there. The rest of the guys up front, last year, Jacob Slade was one of the best run defenders in the country. He's been a little bit banged up, not quite playing up to the level he did last year. Simeon Barrow is a dude that is a freaking load when he gets going. He kind of has like, I guess it's because he's wearing number 8, but he has some Perry and Winfrey vibes. Like once he gets moving, he's really athletic.
Yeah.
But again, super inconsistent. One guy that did impress me, and Space Coyote pointed this out and turned me on to him, is Derek Harmon, number 41. He's a redshirt freshman out of Detroit Loyola. He looks like their best prospect up front, man. He has really good hands and good leverage and a really good feel from that 3-tech spot. But again, what are they going to do to stop us? They're going to probably try and mimic what Indiana did.
Yeah.
And they're going to do any and everything they possibly can to get +1 in the run. And so you're going to see 8, 9 guys in the box. You're going to see corner blitzes. You're going to see a lot of backfield peeking. They're going to have to sell out to stop the run and make JJ beat them. Like I sent you the Thick Stauskas tweet last night of like, oh, we're going to have to make JJ beat us. Like, okay, you want to man up Ronnie and Roman 1-on-1 with Angelo Gross and Chester Kimbrough? We'll take that, please. Great game plan. Yeah, you guys got it. You nailed it. So again, we should be able to move the ball at will on them, I would think, if not consistently, as consistently as we have in anyone they faced. When I got done doing my watch it, I said that they're the 4th or 5th best defense we've seen all year.
Yeah, I really think we're gonna have to scheme up some easy throws for JJ early on and kind of get him comfortable in a good groove early on, so we can nail those deep shots that are gonna be there. They
Yes.
will be there in this game.
And I think you will see us game plan them in, like you were just saying. Like it's been a while since we've tried. They'll be there Saturday.
Yeah, and it's. For this game to go the way we think it should go, JJ's going to have to avoid turnovers. I mentioned to you a lot last year and even in the postseason after we were Big Ten champs. The Spartan loss, I don't think we definitely got hosed. Aiden Hutchinson scored a touchdown. But I don't think that's the reason we lost the game. I honestly think that it was JJ's fumble in the 3rd quarter when we brought him in. I think that swung that game. I think it swung the momentum, and that's where Michigan really lost, was on that turnover. And I know JJ's going to be thinking about that. The whole program and every press conference has been talking about we want this one bad, and I think that's a credit to Mike Hart. Ever since Mike Hart's been back in the program, I think we've really seen a revamped interest in our rivalry game specifically, and just being more. Where Jim's always got us ready to play. Other than the 2018 debacle in Columbus, that's still a mystery to us. To this day, I don't know what happened on that day. I really don't. But other than that, Michigan has been ready to go and ready to play in every rivalry game other than that one. But I think Mike Hart's kind of brought that hatred and that preparation for rivalries to another level. Just in the last 2 years.
Having Jim on staff, obviously Jim is the staff, and then Mike Hart and Ron Bellamy. Having these guys with the history of it is huge. Grant Newsome, dudes that have played in the game. It means a lot. And obviously State has it on their side as well with Harlan Barnett and Mel Tucker was there in the 90s and whatnot. But yeah, man, I completely agree with you on last year's game. That was definitely where we lost it, was that turnover. Hopefully we got good weather. We'll be under the lights. I know it's going to be raucous in there, whether it's a blue hour or whatever the hell out. It don't matter. It's going to be lit in there. It's going to be loud. Pom-poms are going to be flying. Very curious to see what we're going to wear. A lot of people are speculating the maize. We'll see. It don't really matter to me. like you said earlier, I was like, man, what if this happens? What if that happens? And you're like, it'd just be really cool if we just whoop their ass all day. And like, yeah, that's really all that matters.
I mean, it's just one we owe them for last year, and that's really just the way I look at it. I don't think they had any business winning that game last year. No disrespect
No.
to them whatsoever, but I know that they were good going into that game, and they had a good record. But I mean, like what we said earlier in the show, Michigan dominated last year's game. The only thing that didn't make sense was the scoreboard, and they had an all-time performance from Kenneth Walker.
Yep.
And even with his special performance, I still thought that we dominated that game. I mean, it just didn't show up on the scoreboard.
Yes, sir. I'm with you. We're looking at
But I really think JJ, if he can play a clean game, I think the offense will be able to move the ball. I would really, this would be a really good week to get. Jim always has guys from their hometown kind of more centered in the game plan than usual. So
Yep.
hopefully this is another Andro Anthony showing out party
Yep.
like he did last year in East Lansing.
Yep.
And I would really, really, really like to see Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum early get involved in the pass game, whether it's a screen, whether they flare either one of them out for a swing pass, or flex Donovan out wide and get him on a little slant or something. I really think, with as poor as they are in the secondary, I really think it would be a great benefit to I don't want to say throw it all over the yard and have a 400-yard game, but I want some really easy, quick throws early on. Try to get some broken tackles and some yak yardage, and kind of free up for Blake Corum and that offensive line to dominate later in the game. Because, like you said, I really think that Indiana game plan is what they're going to be shooting for.
Yep, that's what I was just going to say. It's going to look similar to that. Schematically, Jim's going to have a couple of different things. He teased that 2 weeks ago, but even if he hadn't, we might have a new run scheme, something you haven't seen before. I guarantee we're going to have a new run scheme. We'll probably have a new route combo, maybe a new play action pass, and we're definitely going to have a reverse or a flea flicker or one of those specialties, if not 2 or 3 drawn up. We've let Henning go to sleep a little bit. And it might have been on purpose. It might have been on purpose. So, it's been a minute since we featured him on any of that stuff. And
just as long as we don't get into I mean, as much as you and me love Jabril Peppers, we got a little that Wildcat package with him offensively was just entirely too predictable by the end of the year.
He was never used correctly on offense.
Yeah.
As unfortunate as it was, he always should have just put him at running back and give him an inside zone.
Or line him up at receiver, and it's like, hey, you're gonna run a slant route, and that's all you're running. And
yeah, we don't need an entire package and like all this and all that. It was way too complicated. We used him a lot better in 15 than we did 16 on offense. I felt on 15 he caught a bubble and little things like that. And it's like, yeah, dude, you don't need reps on reps on reps and personnel packages. And it's like, just put him in at Z. Put them in at the end.
Yeah, that's a conversation for a different day.
For sure. Yeah, that's like an awesome.
Got to focus on 2022. Is there any? We already know how these rivalry games go. We've mentioned it multiple times on this podcast, but how realistic do you see of this being a truly competitive game? Do you see Michigan pulling away early, or do you see us pulling away towards the third quarter?
I mean, you're kind of asking for a prediction. Here's ways it could go. It could look like Indiana, Iowa, because Michigan just doesn't play that style of ball, dude. Like, we beat Penn State 41-17, but we were up 16-14 at half,
Yeah.
We don't play that Ohio State like where we're going to come out and we're going to bury you right here, right now. We just control every aspect of the game, and at the end, we end up having more points than you. It's just
Yeah.
it's a different philosophy, and people will knock that. All weekend on Twitter, a lot of Michigan folks were throwing out comparisons of how we did versus Iowa compared to Ohio State versus Iowa, and a lot of it was sarcasm. It was stupid shit like first
Yeah.
quarter stats and they've got to this yard line, or we never trailed to Iowa, and then like all these pundits and Ohio State fans just took it all serious and like got all upset. And it's like RJ Young, who's like the worst pundit in America, talking about like, oh, they scored 54 points and that's all that matters and this and that. And it's like, dude, if Michigan wanted to score 54 points on Iowa, they probably could have came out and did that. They just don't do that.
Yeah.
Against
Jim
bigger
is more
teams.
interested. Jim is more interested in getting progressive growth and getting where we need to be at the end of the year by getting better at what we do than trying to score a bunch of points in October.
Bro, it comes down to, like every single thing Jim does is for a point and for a purpose. Ohio State comes out and they just try and score every play. It's like when we were at Bertrand, we were talking about Millington. Like Millington never had an offense. They just had plays that worked. And whatever worked, they ran. If it stopped working, they come up with something else. They could be single back one week, the next week they're power I. Like whatever works for them, they just did. And Ohio State's kind of the same way. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They turned the game into a 7-on-7 match. That's why we whooped their ass last year, because they couldn't compete. So that's another pod for another day. But so we could have that style. We could have the classic Jim game, or Jim could say, fuck it, dude, and just throw everything at the wall, a kitchen sink game because of how bad we want it. And he might come out. And if you recall, like the Hawaii opening script, second play, Roman short motion into the slot, seam down the middle, touchdown. Like, are we going to come out and push that envelope, or are we going to come out in like 13 personnel and just run inside zone and duo 15 times in a row and have the ball the whole first quarter? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed willing to let Shea Patterson throw the ball around a few years ago. So I'm really interested to see the way that I think the opening script for us offensively will tell us a lot about how he feels about Michigan State and their personnel.
Yeah.
I
want to touch on that real quick. Michigan scored on 6 straight opening possessions.
Yeah,
which is fantastic. And we always look great. This last 2 years, we've looked fantastic. Opening drive.
Yeah, I think that it needs to start that way. I think I want to see points on the first 3 drives, and then go from there. I don't really want to get into predictions because
I don't really either.
I think
that's not what we do.
I think Michigan State, every fiber in my being, just knowing this rivalry and being to so many games in person, is that it's going to stay close early. And even when Michigan has the better team, if they allow Sparty to keep it close, weird shit's going to happen. But I would more than welcome a 2016 ass whooping, or just come out and hammer them like, hey, like, we know we're better than you, and it's gonna be a long day for you. So you can fight back if you want, but it's not happening. Yeah.
I'm with you, man. That's pretty much all I got to say on the game. I just looked at the weather. It's like a high of 63, so it should be a clear fall evening. And man, we will couple days away. Anything I got some Michigan high school stuff I want to get into real quick, but anything else you got on it?
Yeah, hopefully we get some social media posts from Coach Torrez walking out of Ann Arbor. If things can go right and you can find a decent ticket.
Yeah, there's still a chance I end up there Saturday. It's not in the plans at the moment, but for Sparty, it's always, you never know. But so I just need to shout out real quick. Our Bertrand Panthers are going to the playoffs. They got in at 5-4. They're on the road at Frankenmuth, so pretty much the toughest draw in D5. But what do they say about rivalry games? You know, throw the records out the window. So we'll see about that. And
Please, Bertrand, please. Like,
yeah,
God damn, man. So many missed opportunities.
yeah, there's not a week goes by I don't think about the fake punt that we missed in 2015 that I kept in my back pocket for 8 weeks, and we pulled out on the first series against them on offense and missed it by an inch. Haunts me, but anywho, pretty well.
The Anthony Reinig receiver reverse pass that just missed the tight end Naylor.
Yeah, yep, in the back of the end zone.
Willie Perriard's phantom
Oh my
targeting
God.
call.
The leaving his feet and whatnot. Yeah, no. 2015 wasn't a great year for that. Was 14. Actually, those were 14. Yeah, 14 and 15. Opportunities missed. But anyway, the other program I got to shout out, my Adrian Maples. I was there in 2019. We were basically a freshman team playing a varsity schedule and coming off of a winless season. We also went winless, and it's 3 years later now, and they're in the freaking playoffs, man. And I couldn't be any happier for that school and that program. I believe there's only 3 seniors down there in that class. One of them was linebacker and running back Eli Terrell down there as a freshman. Played a lot of ball for me, and he's going out with the playoff run down in Adrian. So super excited for them. Thinking I'm probably going to go check them out after work on Friday just to get some closure on that full circle, because that's a big deal for that program.
Yeah.
So, yep, Michigan High School playoffs starting this week. It is, and we got state this weekend, got daylight savings next weekend. Man, it's the best time of the year.
Yeah, it's fun. Texas high school football has one more week of the regular season, and then they start playoffs the following week.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Well, this has been the 425 Homer Pod. Go Blue. We will catch you next week, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Go Blue.